okay? It's like that nurse I showed it to a few months back. She says, Alan, this is beneath me. She says, you know, I'm registered. I said, so's my cat. You know, she still carries bedpans. Imagine you got to be registered for a bedpan, all right? Don't have such pride that it keeps you from getting wealthy. I had status or status, whatever you want to call it, okay? I mean, is that a job resume or what? Anyway, we did get started in the business in a one-bedroom apartment. And our apartment was so small, if you dropped a handkerchief, you'd have wall-to-wall carpeting. And you know, people say, you really started out like that? You wouldn't believe it, okay? It was absolutely incredible. I mean, we could sleep, brush our teeth, comb our hair, and go to the potty all within 10 steps. But I married a woman with a powerful dream, and I really didn't want to do the business, because that would mean I'd have to do something I'm not used to. Change is uncomfortable, you know. It's like putting on a new pair of shoes. It hurts here, it hurts there, but after you wear them a while, it gets more and more comfortable. They get kind of broken in, you understand? And a lot of people, I hope for each and every one of you here, and the people way up there, and the people at the NEC, and all over the place, that you all hang in this long enough to make it happen for you. The plan was shown to us with rapid growth, and we didn't expect any different. It did take me a while to start showing the plan. You know why I got on the board? My sponsor would show up 2.5 hours late. People would leave. They'd say, you're a bum. You brought us here, and you're a creep. They used to tell us off, okay? We sponsored a lot of people like that, okay? Talk about edification. People don't know. So I started showing the plan. I figured, look, if I got to get it done, I better get it done. Within 8 months after I started showing the plan, we did hit 25% back home, $7,500 a month. The night we went direct, I'll tell you about it. It was April, and we had just finished the plan training, and we came home. We had about 300 distributors in our group, and none of them were really active. I mean, there was a core group, but the spark just wasn't there. And we just kept adding and adding, and if you averaged out the PV, everyone was doing about 10 cents. We were getting fed up. Shari said to me with a magic finger, you know, we'd go direct this month if you wanted to. When you don't want to hear something, that's what it sounds like. They sound like female Jerry Lewis. You know. The magic finger came out, and she'd poke like this, you know, and it would hurt, okay? I mean, she told you what our beginning group was like. They stood up for every social disease and every, you know, you are what you run with. Pigs don't know pigs stink, right? That night we were at 4,000 points, somewhere around 4,000 points. It was the end of month order. I got on the phone and I started calling people, waking them up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and saying, hey, did you do your 100 yet? Listen, we were just raking up the points. That morning, 8 a.m. when we placed our order, we were over 13,000 PV, and we were never back since. What did it for us? What did it for us? We got organized in our thinking. And I'm very disorganized at times, and I learned how to write things down, and you know, I use a lot of props. You know, we're talking about big money. And I asked my sponsor, people used to say, you making money in this business? Yeah, okay. I mean, I always like to goof off. I remember being asked at one meeting, our first month actually, Alan, are you making money in this business? Now, our check for that month was $3.87. And I pulled it out of my pocket and I held it up. I says, you wouldn't believe how much we made. And I put it back. Folks, I want to tell you something. Attitude is everything. And I developed it off the tapes, the books, watching our upline, our active upline, the positive guys, okay? Watching the ones that were out there making it happen. That's where the attitude came in. And I learned the difference between disclosure and deception. Deception's when you tell an outright lie. But when you're making money, even if it's 10 cents, it's 10 cents more than you had last month, you made money in this business. You know, and so many people, they say to us, when do you make big money? Go get a group. And we started doing that. We just kept adding people. I just knew if we added people, it would have to blow up. It would have to explode somewhere. And we just kept pushing the kids in. And people say, you don't understand, we have problems. I said, don't tell me about your problems. I got problems too. I'll keep mine, you keep yours. I'll handle mine, you handle yours. Okay? I can handle mine. And you know, you're either going to live by your problems and succumb to them or rise to the challenge and overcome them. And I heard that on a tape. We overcame a lot. My first suit, I never tell, you know, I forget to tell some things. There's so much good stuff. My first suit was a brown corduroy suit. I bought it on sale. You remember corduroy? I mean, when you walk in the room, it goes, and if you run, smoke would start. You could catch fire. I was so proud of that suit. It's the first suit I had since my bar mitzvah. And I asked people, I asked my sponsor, I said, what do you think of my suit? He said, burn it. He was a tough guy. He could cut your throat and tell you look good in red. We did used to vaccinate our people. They used to say, you know, this guy insulted me. This was my downline from this guy over here, you know, who's brought us into the business. He insulted me. I says, oh, that's good. That means he likes you. One guy said, let him like me less before I kill him. I said, it's okay. I'll help you bury him. I could get away with it, you know. It was about that time I started laughing at a lot of things. You know, the job was really negative, naturally, all right? I mean, everybody I worked with was so dead. I used to answer the phone, morgue, you stab him, we slab him. They didn't like that. They started getting reports. I used to start laughing on Mondays. What are you so happy about? I says, I don't have to look at you all day. And, you know, I don't handle negative well. At some of the meetings, we had one guy who was really obnoxious. And, you know, he says, well, I'm going to go get a second opinion. I said, I could give it to you right now. He goes, what is it? I said, you're ugly and you're nasty. Don't laugh. Last month he went 4,000 in the business. The big key was that I learned to say things with a smile. And you know, I also learned that, you know, you don't have to be afraid. Our first meeting, I did wear brown pants though. I was really scared. And it took me a long time to get really confident. The confidence grew as we did more. You know, years ago, if you had ever told me I'd be speaking in front of this many people, and I still call people and say, I don't believe it really works. You know, and I said, well, we don't know if you really work. But we fill coliseums all across the country. You know, this is the fourth function that's filled like this, and there's going to be more than that. It's incredible. We used to get a lot of people in the group called Doomsday Pete's, you know? Well, it'll never work. Bill calls him Harry the Blah, you know? I used to have one at work. His name was Ernie. And he used to say, I mean, we had a few of them, but he used to yell across the lab, I'm making a prospect, you know, making a contact, and he used to yell things like, hey, Al, how's your Amway? Gee, that's great. He just blew out everybody. You know, talk about the curiosity approach. He once caught me at a diner. We have diners, which are a daytime restaurant. They're 24 hours a day. And I'm buying a guy a bowl of soup, and I'm showing him the plan. And he'd walk by and say, "Oh, you still doing that Amway thing?" Oh, great. Okay. Boy, I visualized him on my table. Early in the business, when we started really getting confident, I remember having an argument about retirement. And Shari and I were trying to come up with a number that we need. And I draw pictures for everything. We needed a number. And I asked my sponsor, how many people do I need to retire? And he didn't have the answer. So we went upline from him to the guy who could cut your throat until you look good and red. He said, just get 3 direct legs. And you know, one of our guys, he likes computers. He made me this poster a long time ago. It's a little yellow. And I don't know if you could see it. Maybe you can see it on camera. But it says just 3 direct. And I had things like this all over the place. We used to put up, you know STP, the racing stuff for cars? I told you my hobby's automobiles. I don't know if they have that here, but they got a red circle, and it says STP, the Racer's Edge, you know, STP. And I used to put them up all over my laboratory. I had them on the drawers in the morgue, and they used to they used to ask, what does that mean? I remember the pathologist, my boss, would come around, and he'd say, Al, what does this mean? I said, it's something Shari and I are doing. To me, it meant show the plan. Stand tall, partner, stuff the pockets. You know? And what I used to tell him was it meant stop teenage pregnancy. Then I had signs up all over the laboratory saying motivation, you know? They loved that stuff at work. They didn't know what it was about, and I didn't tell them. But I knew how to work me. I knew I had to immerse myself in this business, or anybody could get negative. You run with negative, you know, you need one of these every 30 days. Maybe not as big, but I need to be around the people that are positive. And we knew that. We needed a system. You'll never see another business that holds a candle to this because they don't have, you know, Pat and Greta, Jerry and Mandy, Bill and Leslie, all the emeralds. You know, Bernie and Janet and Dave and Denise and all the people that are trailblazers before you. They don't have that. And you know, oh, come on, before this business, who was your idol? I mean, what was it, some rock star or something? You know, and here in this business, they were talking about, you know, people say, Al, you're brainwashed. Let me tell you, if this is a cult, everybody would listen 100%, no will of their own, and they'd all be rich. But because this isn't a cult, you have the ability of free thinking, and along with that comes all the fears. I was born a boy, and in biology they teach us a baby is instinctively born with only 2 fears. One is loud noises, and the other is the fear of falling. Those are the only 2 that God gives you. Every other fear we gain, we acquire. We learned how to get it. And I just knew we had to overcome those fears. I wish back then he'd said 4 direct legs. Shari told you some things, you know, like this is our 3rd time Emerald Chip, and this is so strong because of a system. And the system, we learned how to operate in a system. And it was incredible the way it worked with our fears and the reassurance that came with action, the confidence that grew. I believed in an upline. I believed in a system. I believed the business would work, but I never thought we could do it. You know, Shari always tells you about the fears that I had. She had one belief. She had to believe in me. And that was the magic that made it happen for us. And it worked. 5 nights a week for 2 years. And you know, you heard her talk about decisions. We have, sometimes driving home from Brooklyn, I go through some not so great neighborhoods. And, you know, rough areas where they come and wash your windows and slash your tires, you know, things like this. And they wash your windows so you could give them some money. And it was a warm night. I had the window open, and Dexter was on the tape deck. You know, I had found a tape by Dexter, and he says, you gotta get a dream. You gotta get a big dream, you know? And he said, it's a heartbeat, and you gotta go 5 and 6 nights a week. And I'm getting frustrated. You ever have a meeting you wish didn't happen? Well, this guy, little did I know, I'm at a traffic light, and we're stopped. And at 4 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, you're still getting traffic in New York City. It just never stops. And he's saying, you gotta decide. And I yelled out, I already decided. What's wrong with us? And the guy, I didn't know he was right here. He says, okay, man, I won't wash your windows. You know? It was incredible. I guess he thought I was crazy. But we got passionate about our future. And that month we broke another direct. And it was incredible. You know, you keep putting it in, you keep the pucker factor in there. You keep putting the people in and putting the people in and putting the people in, and it blows out somewhere else. You know, people say, what was life like before the business? It's very hard to remember. I got married about the time we got in the business. See, I was blessed with a positive wife. I get guys in the group, they say, you don't understand, my wife is negative. I tell them, you married her, you handle her. But I never had to ask Shari's permission to make an extra $25,000 a year. You understand that? I didn't ask her permission, gee, can I go to work today? And yet I meet so many guys, you know, like my older brother. I mean, he was incredible. His wife was negative. He says, well, you don't understand, my wife is negative. So I said, did she let you keep your maiden name? You know, we didn't get along. I told my family, I mean, you and I, as builders of this organization and this business, we have to draw lines. People cross over these lines all the time. My family was totally negative, and they used to steal our dream. I'd get depressed, and because I respect my family. But I found out they were ignorant when it came to business. They weren't at weekends like this. They never met people like you. You know, I always tell people, if you're sitting here today and you're negative, we hired the rest of the room just to fake you out. People say, well, I don't know. My first seminar was a family reunion. And I told Shari, I don't go to my own family reunion. I'm not going to theirs. They used to tell me, Al, you live in a dream world. I said, it's better than living in a nightmare world. And, you know, you could choose dreams or nightmares, but the business came about for us. The first function we went to was Dexter. And he said to us very blatantly, I felt everybody in the room disappeared. And it was a small room. It was about, half the size of this. And it was way back when, and Dexter was saying things like, there's no such thing as a good job. And I was, at the end of the night, I was resistant to everything, is what I'm telling you. At the end of the night, we were standing on the chair singing God Bless America, you know, and things like this. And it was great. And I felt, wow, what a great business. And it developed more and more into us. We wanted to be part of something. We wanted the business to work at that point. We did go direct rapidly, and I go back and forth because so many of the lessons we learned came bit by bit, piece by piece. It wasn't a big momentous decision. I remember being at a function, something like this, and writing everywhere, we will be Emerald next year this time. We will be Emerald. We missed it. We went Pearl. But 6 months later, we were Emerald. Anybody here have people laugh at you? We have them laugh at us too. They still do. Don't kid yourself. They still do. The difference is the way that you and I handle these things. And I learned how to speak to people as though I was sitting in the audience and I want you to speak to me. Convince me this works. Is it worth it? Absolutely. It's worth every minute. And people always laughed at us. But you and I were immunized against it somewhere along the way. We developed an antibody. You see, the abrasiveness of having to earn an income and the stress of always living under the dollar, under the pound or whatever, the stress, the weight of making such an income to support a family can be very physically demanding and emotionally too. You ever see people that don't get in the business, the lights are out, the windows are closed, and nobody's home? You know, but you and I developed an antibody. Having a job is like a Band-Aid over an infection of making a living. The infection's still there, the Band-Aid just covers it up. What happens to you and I is we develop the antibody. We develop the vaccination, the antibiotic that's gonna cure the infection. You go emerald in this business, you'll be one positive, smiling dude.